Children, today is the fourth day of this environmental issues. Okay? So in the environmental issues, see, we have studied about, in the previous class we have studied about eutrophication and then how the lake is just getting aged and all we have seen. And now you are going to see about the magnification, that is biomagnification. Even in your 10th standard also, you people have studied about this biomagnification. And now we will see what is the meaning of biomagnification. So what is biomagnification? That is increase in the concentration of the toxicants in every successive level of the trophic level, successive trophic levels. See, for example, so what is biomagnification when you see? See, you are just using the pesticides, fungicides and fertilizers and all are just getting washed by means of the water. They are just entering into the river or the pond, that is the water resources, water sources. Now the zooplanktons which is present in that, when they are just utilizing, when they are using the water at that time, a certain concentration is present inside their body. And that zooplanktons, when it is consumed by the next level, that is first we can take phytoplanktons and then comes the zooplanktons, and then when that zooplanktons are consumed by the fishes and then come the large fishes and all, when you just see this trophic levels, see this toxicants, this toxic substances, they are neither metabolized by the organisms nor excreted by the organisms, rather it gets multiplied when they are just entering into the next trophic level. So first trophic level, see for example 10%, next trophic level it is increasing to 50%, next, so like that biologically these toxic substances are just getting magnified or multiplied, so we call them as the biomagnification. So now you understand what is the meaning of biomagnification. Bio in the living organisms, magnification the multiplication. See, when you just see the concentration of the toxicant is just increasing in every successive trophic levels is actually called as the biomagnification. See, for example, the toxic substances like the heavy metals, mercury, cadmium, copper, lead and all, when you just see, they are neither metabolized inside the living organism nor it is excreted outside their body, but rather it is just getting passed from one trophic level to another trophic level. It is just getting magnified or multiplied. That is called as the biomagnification. So we have just taken an example of a aquatic chain, aquatic food chain we have just taken. So biomagnification of DDT we have taken in the aquatic food chain. So now when you are just taking this biomag, that is the DDT, in the initial stage, now from the agricultural field it has just entered. Now when you just see inside the water, the level of the concentration of the DDT is 0.003 per, that is per billion only, so parts per billion it is, parts per billion. And the same water, when it is just consumed, see now what is actually the consumption? The water is utilized by the phytoplanktons. Okay, now that phytoplanktons are just consumed by the zooplanktons, and when you just see the zooplanktons, the concentration of the DDT is 0.04 parts per million it is. Now the concentration has increased, and when this zooplanktons are eaten by the small fishes, and when you take the small fishes and just see, the concentration of the DDT is 0.5 parts per million. And next, when the small fishes are eaten by the large fishes, that is the next trophic level, when you see the concentration of the DDT in the body of the large fishes is 2 parts per million. And then when this large fishes are consumed by the fish eating birds, now the concentration is 25 ppm. Okay, so slowly when you see 0.003, now it is 0.04 parts per million, here it is 0.5, and here when they go to the next trophic level it is 2 pm, and then when they go to the highermost trophic level it is 25 pm. Now what is the effect when you just see, okay, what is the necessity, why should we just see and analyze all these biomagnifications? When you see when the concentration of this particular material, that is particular toxicant, when it is increasing in concentration, what is the impact or what is the consequence? What is this? See here, the fish eating birds, when they are just increasing in their concentration, it affects the high concentration of the DDT, it affects the calcium metabolism in the birds. So when the calcium metabolism is just affected by means of this DDT, what is actually happening? See, you know that the egg should have a thick shell. So now the egg should have the thick shell, that is the calcium, by means of the calcium metabolism. The egg has to be in thick way, that is the calcium carbonates. Now the egg is unable to get the thick shell. Instead of having a thick shelled egg, now this is the thick shelled egg. Now the egg cell is just becoming thinner in nature, thinning of the egg shell. Now the egg is not a honey. We have seen that all the oviparous animals, mostly the birds and all, they used to have a thick shelled egg. So the thick shell, it helps the small young one to get developed in the proper way. It gives the protection from all the external environmental factors, whether it is cold or heat or whatever it may be. It can't penetrate into the thick shell, so that the small individual inside, that is the embryo inside the egg, is just getting developed in the proper way by means of this protection. But now what is actually happening? So due to this calcium metabolism, now the egg cell has just become thin. Now due to the thinning of that egg, now what is actually happening? The external factors, and apart from that, the embryo is unable to develop properly. So what is actually happening? Though the bird is just laying the eggs, some of the eggs they are getting distracted by means of the external factors, or some by means of the thinning of the eggshell. Now the small embryo is unable to develop properly. So what is that? So a drastic decline in the bird population is there. So the bird population is completely declining, because though they are giving birth to the young ones, that is though they are laying the eggs are unable to develop because of the thinning of the eggshell. So how they have happened? That has happened, that is by means of the DDT accumulation inside their body. Okay, so by means of that, the thinning of that and the decline of the bird population has occurred. Drastic decline in the birds population has happened. So that is the best example for the birds, that is the biomagnification. Very recently you people have just heard, that is before last week and all, heavy number of locusts has come to Jaipur, Rajasthan, as well as in Madhya Pradesh and all. You people are here. Now the fiery news is actually the heavy population of the locusts, how it has come. So the reason is, so the bird population in the food chain, because it is actually the grasshopper is just, the locust is completely controlled by means of a certain consumer in the food chain. So we have seen that the predator, the major role of the predator is it will not allow the prey to multiply heavily. But now what has happened? What is the reason why this locust has come up in that much of heavy population? The reason is the depletion or the heavy decline of the birds population, or some of the predator is just missing over there, and that predator for this locust, as it was missing in the natural food chain, the result is the complete multiplication of the locust. Now once when the locust is heavily multiplied, then the destruction of the food crops will be there. That is the things what we are facing now. Are you clear? Okay, and next comes the, see what are some of the diseases which are caused by means of the heavy metal toxicants. See, mercury miyamata disease. See, this is actually a disease which was caused in Japan. See, the Miyamata Bay of Japan, see, they released the industrial effluents, that is mercury. And this mercury, it has just mixed up in the water, and by means of that, what is the consequences when you just see the numbness of the lips, it used to occur. So numbness of the lips and blood division, mental derangement, crippling. So these are all the things what the people are facing near that Miyamata area. So near that Bay of Japan, when you just see, due to this industrial effluence, the people are getting this type of disease. So the symptoms of this disease is numbness of lips, blood division, mental derangement, crippling, or the symptoms what is created by means of this diseases. And next is the lead plumbism disease. Lead plumbism. See, the lead which is present in the effluent, it damages the brain. It damages the brain and it causes madness among the people. See how severe diseases are caused by means of the effluents, that is by means of the toxicants which is getting mixed in the water. And next, cadmium. By means of cadmium, there is a disease called itai, or that disease is actually called as the ouch disease. So here when you see the painful skeletal deformities, see, for example, a person when they are having the normal skeleton, they can just walk and do everything in the proper way, but after just inhaling or just intaking this cadmium toxicant inside their body, the skeletal deformities are just taking place in the children as well as in the people who are just present over there. So such a severe diseases are being caused by means of the toxicants. In the notes I have just given some more examples for this toxic substances which has been consumed by the people as well as by the animals. I have given a list of diseases, you can refer that. And next comes the thermal pollution. So what is thermal pollution? I told you already, from the thermal power plants, that is electricity is just generated by the Neyveli Corporation and all. You can just see in Neyveli Corporation we are having the thermal power plant, that is for the electricity generation plant. So the water which is just eliminated. So now the waste which is just coming from that thermal power plants, they eliminate. See, they used to just eliminate the hot water. At the same time, they are just eliminating, and either they used to eliminate the organisms from the particular area, or they are just the organisms are just highly sensitive to the high temperature. You know very well that when the water is just coming from the boilers, so of course they are just cooling that and they are just sending, but some of the organisms, they are highly sensitive to this high temperature. Once when they are just getting exposed to this high temperature water, either they used to escape from that environment or they will die by means of this heavy temperature. So they are just spoiling the complete ecosystem in the surrounding area. And they used to increase the growth of the plants as well as the fishes, which can just resist or survive in the hot temperature. Thereby, what they are just doing is they are damaging, on one side, they are just damaging the indigenous flora and fauna, and whereas they are just allowing and they are promoting the growth of the other organisms which can survive under that high temperature. Are you clear? Okay, next we can just go for a case study. That is, when this water is just being like that, see, you should not just blame only the government. The government didn't do that work. The government hasn't do the work. The government has done this work. We should not blame the government. We by ourselves also have to find a solution for that. So for this best example, we can just take this case study which has done integrated wastewater treatment, which is just implementing the integrated wastewater treatment. So how it was, see, the wastewater from the sewage, it was actually treated by means of an integrated manner. So here when you just see the people of this Arcata, they didn't expect the government to do the work. The people in that particular area, along with the biologists of that university, they all just integrate in an integrated way, in a very cooperative way, they did this work. So they utilized the mixing of both the artificial as well as the natural process. By means of artificial and natural processes, they completely treated all this waste into the useful one. So how it has happened is, it was initiated by the people of Arcata. So Arcata, where it is actually in the northern coast of California. The people of this Arcata, along with the biologists of the Humboldt State University. So Humboldt State University biologists, along with this public, they did this work. When you just see here, they did two steps. They did the cleaning in two steps. Number one is, they just allow the water, see here, the water is just coming, and they allow the water to get settled. Okay, so the wastewater is just coming and they allow the water to get settled. So now the conventional settlement, they did it, and they allowed it to, they just filtered the water, and then chemical treatment also they did it, so that the heavy metals and all, they just they just made it to get settled. So what are all the steps? The first step is the conventional sedimentation, filtering, chlorine treatment and all, they did it. And after that, what they did is, the biologists, they developed a series of 6 connected marshes over 60 hectares of the marshland. So what they did is, see here, they just allow the water, they sedimented it, and here nearly 6 marshes of 60 hectares of kilometers, so 60 hectares they allowed it, and they connected all these marshes. Okay, and now they just made this water to just move towards that marshy area. So here in the marshy area, lot of marshy plants were just there, and now they allowed this to just go through that. So now what they did is, so in this marshy land, in marshy area, they just seeded some of the plants, algae, fungi and bacteria. So for what purpose? In order to undertake the decomposition, because the sewage is just coming. Now the sewage is just going into that marshy area. While they are just going into that marshy area itself, they just put the seeds of the plants, algae, fungi and bacteria, they allowed it so that the decomposition can take place in a proper way. So now when they seeded all these bacteria, fungus and the plants, now what has happened is, they neutralized. So who neutralized? The plants, algae, fungi and bacteria. They neutralized this sediment, this sewage, and they absorbed and they assimilated all the pollutants. Now they just allow it to pass, and all these algae, plants, everything, they just absorbed that pollutants, they assimilated that pollutants, and they completely decomposed that pollutants. And after that, now what has happened is, now after finishing the marshes, now they just crossed nearly 6 marshes, and after the water flowing through the marshes, now it got purified. Now it got purified. How it got purified? By means of the absorption of these plants, algae, that is fungi, bacteria and all. Now not only it got purified, now the marshes, the water not only it get purified, because as it is having a heavy number of the plants and all, now it has become a good sanctuary for different types of birds, fishes and then animals. So as the area is just having plenty of water, and as they have planted many of the plants over there, and due to the algae and all, it attracted many of the birds and animals, and now the waste marshes has become beautiful sanctuaries. So what has happened? So first it was only a Sewage. Now the sewage has been converted into a sanctuary now. So now what has happened is, see, they have converted that complete mashes into beautiful sanctuaries. So due to that attraction, many birds, many animals have just come to the place. Now they have made a beautiful ecosystem. The waste area has completely converted into a beautiful ecosystem. So that citizen group is actually called as the foam. Foam, it means what? Friends of Arcata Marsh. Are you clear? So here they didn't expect the government to do that work. The public themselves, they took the step. They asked the help from the biologist of that university, and this biologist, with their biology knowledge, they just grouped these people. They did all this conventional work as well as the artificial work also. They did it, and completely they converted all that marshy area into the sanctuaries. Okay, so and then next we can just go for the ecological sanitation. So what is the meaning of ecological sanitation? See children, when you are just using the toilet, see for example, now we all are having the flush toilet. See, after the defecation, when we are just flushing the toilet, how much amount of water is getting utilized for that? So in order to avoid the wastage of water, so whenever we are just flushing, so many liters of water we are just wasting. So instead of just flushing the waste by means of using the heavy amount of water, why don't we just go for the ecological sanitation? So here huge amount of water is used to flush the human figures. So why don't we just go for the dry composting toilets? So dry composting toilets, it means, see, instead of just using water, the excreta is just used for composting, and that composter that is the fecal matter, can be utilized as a fertilizer. Because see, now instead of just using the chemical fertilizer, why don't we just go for enriching the soil by means of the composting of the fecal matter? So that has been just, so now the human waste is recycled and it is used as a natural fertilizer. So with the help of that, we can reduce the chemical fertilizer. So mostly in case of the e-toilet, eco-scan toilet, we used to call this eco-scan toilet. It is very successful nowadays in Kerala as well as in Sri Lanka. So why don't we just switch over that? Okay. Children, so next comes the solid waste. So solid waste, what is actually the solid waste? Say for example, when you are just throwing a paper inside the class, or the chocolate papers or the chocolate wrappers, okay, or sometimes you are just throwing the food waste. So all this waste, whatever you are just throwing into the garbage or the dustbin, they all are actually called as the solid waste, that is the garbage. So when you just categorize them, the municipal solid waste, when you just take in the morning, you people might have just heard the whistling sound, and they used to ask Amma, litter and all. They used to just ask, you people will be just dumping everything and going and keeping. So that is actually the municipal solid waste we can. So the waste which is coming from the homes, offices, schools, and then stores, hospitals, everything, it includes the municipal waste. So what are all the major waste when you just see the paper, food waste, sometimes glass, metal. So all these are actually the waste. So what they used to do after just going there, what they used to do is, see, actually nowadays you might have heard the announcement from those people. They used to say, public, you please separate the biodegradable waste separately and non-biodegradable waste, that is the plastic separately, so that it would be helpful for the people for just doing the recycling. That is, when you are just dumping all the biodegradable waste, they can go and just dump that for the biodegradation. So but once when you are just mixing all this plastic everything, You just imagine about the human being. They are also human like that. They have to go segregate all those things. Just imagine once when you are just dumping the kitchen waste for 2 days or 3 days, that itself it started stinking. Okay, so it produces bad smell. Imagine about the people who are just working over there. They have to segregate everything in that nasty environment. They too have to do the work. So instead of that, what you can do is you can just separate the biodegradable waste separately and then non-biodegradable waste. Then it is good for the people, easy for the people to undertake the recycling as well as for the other work and all. And once when they are just going and dumping over there, first step what they used to do is, see here in the they used to just burn it. So why do they burn that when you see? Because when you just see when you are just sweeping the garden and all, when you are having this much of a huge, big hump of that litter, so instead of just carrying all those things, we feel that once when we are just burning, what will happen is, so this much of paper, now it becomes a small dust, is it? So it is becoming a small amount of ash it will become. So in order to reduce that huge waste, people used to undertake the incineration, or we call them as the burning. So why do they used to do the, before they decompose, they used to incinerate it or they used to burn it. So when we are incinerating, it reduces the volume of the waste. And incomplete, when you are just leaving that in the incomplete burning, incomplete incineration when you are leaving, now what it happens is it attracts many rats and flies. You know what are all the diseases the rats and the flies it used to bring. The rat will not just sit all the time in that decomposing pit. It used to come to the houses. It used to come to the human inhabitants, that is in the colonies. So when they are coming, they will not come as such, as they are just living and breeding inside that area. They bring all sorts of that is the harmful microbes also, or sometimes they used to bring all the vectors once. So they act as a vector so that they can just carry the diseases also. Dreadful diseases are also being carried by them. So next comes the sanitary landfills. So what is the meaning of the sanitary landfill? See, for example, on the roads when you are just finding any of the any pits or anything, what the people used to do is, you might have seen many of the buildings when they are just demolishing, and after that when they are reconstructing. So when they are destroying the building, they used to just destroy everything, and completely all the sand and then the broken bricks, everything will be there. So they'll be taking that, but this waste, how they are just using is, whenever there is any big pit or the trenches in the roads and all, they used to fill it. They used to fill that small pits, and so that they can just, in case if they want to make roads and all, they used to just fill that area. So this is actually the landfills, open burning dumps either they used to use, or they used to dump it in the depression of the trench, and after that they used to just cover by means of the dirt. But we can't say that the landfills is a good solution, because you know that, say, okay, we can just landfill it, okay, you produce more amount of garbage. We can't say in that way, because you just imagine about the metropolitan cities and all, they produce that much of waste, and all the waste we can't just do the landfilling, because landfilling is, so that's what I'm telling, landfilling is not a good solution to escape from this type of waste. So when you are just telling that, people can say that, okay, why don't you just landfill it? So when I am just filling this area, see, along with the chemicals and all, I am just filling. Now what is actually happening? When the rain comes, now slowly the chemicals what I have just mixed in this landfilling, they all are coming, and they are coming to the underground water. Underground water tables are there, they are just coming. Now what is actually happening? All the dirt and then the poisons or the toxic substances, they are entering into the underground level just by means of the seepage, that is by means of the percolation. All these chemicals, they are getting seeped and they are just reaching the water level, that is underground water level is also getting polluted by means of that. And we can just classify the waste into 3 types. We can classify the waste into three types. What are all the three types? Biodegradable waste. The waste which can be decomposed is actually called as the biodegradable waste. And next comes the non-biodegradable waste. So it means the decomposers, they can't degrade that waste. So we call them as the non-biodegradable waste. For example, plastic and all the other things, we used to consider that as the non-biodegradable waste. And next is another waste is the recyclable waste. It means that waste can be recycled. So best example, you might have seen that people, when they used to ask when you are in the streets and all, they used to come and ask, old papers is there, means you please bring it, and old bottles when you are having, you give it. So why they are just getting all those things? They recycle it, and by means of the recycling, they can just make that into another useful substances. So for that purpose only, they are just asking all these waste. So these waste which can be recycled and can be used up in the next form is called as the recyclable waste, we can see. And the prime goal, see what is the prime goal we should have is, see, instead of just increasing the biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable, I told you already, biodegradable waste also, to certain extent only it is good, because when it goes beyond the level, we can't just do anything, because the decomposers also need certain time for the decomposing. So the prime goal what we should have is, we should reduce the garbage generation. So garbage generation, you have to reduce it. So instead of just producing and using a lot of use and throw, and then using many of the things, instead of just buying everything and dumping at house, and then forming just waiting for the Bogi festival to come, and then throwing everything and then burning everything. So of course we by ourselves have to just protect our environment. So that is the major thing what we have to do. So the prime goal is, we have to reduce the garbage generation. And next is the polystyrene and the plastic packaging. When you just see, that plays a major environmental pollution. So for example, now see, previously, that is when we were young and all, before 50 years and all, when you just see, there was no plastic covers, and plastic things were not used this much. See, whenever we are just going to the shop, we should have a small cloth bag, or from home we have to take a bag and go. But what we are doing nowadays, we never bother about it. We'll say, no, sorry, I forgot, you give me a plastic cover. But after just getting the plastic cover, what we are doing, we are just throwing it out. But this plastic covers are not getting recycled properly. Now this polystyrene and the plastic packaging, they place a tremendous loss to the environment. So they are actually a heavy environmental pollutant nowadays what we are facing. So how to restrict it? Even the central government as well as the state government is just producing a lot of laws, and they are just banning a lot. Even then we used to resist against that, and we used to say that no, only when I am just getting in the plastic cover I feel convenient. And also when we are just doing like that, we by ourselves are just destroying our own self. You can see that how these plastics are just causing a huge consequence, that is a huge destruction over the environment. When you are just going and seeing in the YouTubes, that is in the scientific way, even after being a science student, you should take your own steps. Don't expect that somebody should take. We have to first take the primary step in order to control all this type of pollution. Okay, and next is, see, a state government and central government, they have just given many of the bans, so that we have to reduce the plastics and we have to use the eco-friendly packaging and all, but yet we are not giving ears to them. Okay, and next comes the e-waste. So what is e-waste? The irreparable computers. So many of the computers, once when the computer is repaired, under the repair, we'll just go for 2 or 3 years, and then after that, repeatedly when the repair is coming, we'll say that we'll dump it. we'll just throw it. So electronic goods and all. So what is the final destiny of them? What is there is either we have to dump it and they'll be just getting in some of the places, they will just extract the plastic and what are all the useful materials what is present in that, they will just remove that and they will just bury it or they will incinerate it. Either they have to burn it. Okay, and in developing countries like India and China, when you just see, they used to recover and recycle the metals what is present in that. For example, in the computer, in the that is iron, that is copper, iron, silicon, nickel and gold. See, small, very minute way they used to use all this gold and all. And this that is developing countries like India, China, Pakistan and all, they used to they dump all these things. They make the people to separate that metals alone, and after separating the metals, they will just either bury it or they will just incinerate it. Okay, and next comes the remedy, the case study of remedy for the plastic waste. So have you seen that in each and every pollution when we are studying, we just studied, see, in case of the air pollution, we studied the case study of the vehicles, that is automobiles in Delhi we have studied, and then now we have studied the water pollution by means of the Arcata people, that is foam we have studied. And after that, now we are just going to see the case study remedy for the plastic waste. See, there was a man called Ahmed Khan who was 57 years old. He was actually a plastic sack manufacturer in Bangalore. So he was just getting the plastic waste from the rack pickers, that is the gabadiwalas or the rack pickers we used to say. Now he was just giving only 40 paisa per kg when the rack pickers are just bringing the plastic cups and plastic bottles and plastic bags and all, when they are just bringing. So he used to weigh it from those people and he was just giving, because mostly the poor children they will be there. So he was giving only 40 paisa per kg he was just giving to the rack pickers. And after that he felt that we have to put a full stop for all this plastic usage. So he had an idea. He just made, that is, his company, he developed a chemical called as polyblend. Okay, what is actually polyblend? Polyblend is a fine powder of recycled modified plastic. So plastic, he just modified it and recycled it, and he just got the powder called as the polyblend. And that polyblend he mixed with butamen. So he completely converted that plastic into polyblend, a small fine powder, and that polyblend was mixed with butamen. And after just mixing with the butamen, he started just using that mixture for laying the roads. So he just asked the collaboration of RV College of Engineering and Bangalore City Corporation. So he just coordinated with the RV Engineering College students, at the same time Bangalore City Corporation. He just made a collaboration and he just told that, see, I am having such an idea, and with the help of this engineering students and with the Bangalore City Corporation, he made this mixture. And he found that, so they tried for that, instead of just using the coal tar and all, why don't we just use this polyblend and the bitumen? And after just using, when they saw the road was it was a good waterproof, that is, the water was not stagnated over the road, and the road life was also very good. Okay, so it showed that when he mixed it, it was actually repellent towards the water. So it was actually resistance against the water, and it didn't allow the water to penetrate, and like that they just, so this mixture has increased the road life. The life of the road was increased. So by 2002, they, with the help of this mixture, that is polyblend and bitumen, they just made they laid nearly 40 kilometers of Bangalore road was laid by this. and after that we don't know why they have stopped and what is the reason why they put a full stop for this polyblend and all, we didn't see. And when he was doing that work at that time, he just told the rat pickers to collect the waste, and first he was giving only 40 paisa for kg, but now he just increased that one. So rupees 6 he started giving to the rat pickers. So rupees 6 per kg he started giving to the rat pickers, and the rat pickers was very much interested because they are getting good money, so with that they just brought lot of plastics and they did this work. So by means of this, he gave a solution for the for this plastic pollution. So he just gave a solution for this plastic pollution. Okay, children, and next comes the agrochemicals and their effects. So you know very well that say previously we were using only the organic farming, and so with that we were completely healthy and all. But now, in order to control the pest, we are using pesticides, fungicides in order to control the fungus, and in order to enhance the growth of that plant, we are using lot of chemical fertilizers. Now what is the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, fertilizers and all, what is actually that? When you are extensively using that, now what is that? You are targeting all that poison to get accumulated in the plants, and at the same time, so by means of the biomagnification, from the plants, the consumers, and from the primary consumers to the secondary consumers to the tertiary consumers. So like that, the toxicity is just getting multiplied from every trophic levels. Okay, so now not only that, you are just completely targeting the non-toxic organisms to become toxic in the ecosystem. I think you people have understood with the help of the biomagnification. So now this is just taking place. So this herbicides and all, what is the result? It leads to the eutrophication. Now you know what is the meaning of the eutrophication? Aging of the lakes, the cultural accelerated aging of the lakes by means of the human activities, and also by means of the biomagnification. The agricultural chemicals and their effects are just playing a major role and major destruction in the ecosystem. And here also we are just going to see a case study. See here, by means of the organic farming. So what is organic farming? Without using any chemicals, what are all the organic things which is present in the field or in the farm area, that itself is used. See here, it means what? The organic farming here, zero waste procedure. This was actually done by a farmer called Ramesh Chandra Tagore. So Ramesh Chandra Tagore is the one. So here in this organic farming, what he is telling is, the waste of one process is just getting recycled, and that recycled product is used as a source for the next process. So the waste of one process is getting recycled and used as a raw material for the other process or the next process, that is called as the organic, that is zero waste procedure we are calling. Okay, see here, it is highly efficient, and at the same time it helps us to maximally we can utilize the resources. We have seen already in the that is in the resources when we were studying, we saw that that is improper and improper or wrong utilization of the resources were also done by the human. But here what we are doing, we are just properly utilizing the resources at the maximum level. Okay, here a farmer called Ramesh Chandra Tagore, he is actually a farmer of Sonipat, Haryana. He just started an organic farming. So in his organic farming, how it is, inside the field itself, he was having beekeeping. So apiculture he made, and dairy management, that is he made all the farm animals, that is the cattle and all he was having. And then water harvest he was having. And next is composting pit as well as the agricultural pit. So what are all the waste which is coming from the form, and which is coming from the animal husbandry, that is from the dairy management, and everything he was just composting. He didn't use not even a single chemical fertilizer or any of the other herbicides and all. He didn't use it. So he used only the organic farming. And this beekeeping, so why should he have the beekeeping? Because in order to increase the pollination. So by means of his beekeeping, he got very good varieties, he got the good yield in the crop. And by means of all this, the chain of processes, that is all this chain, the farm animals were just present, all this waste were used for the agriculture field, and what are all the fodder is coming, it was given to the animals. So like that, the chain by chain, so one process get over, that was processed by the next chain and next chain. So like that, the chain of processes, it took place, and they all supported each other, and all these supported each other, and he has become a successful farmer in that particular area. So with his success, he didn't stop his success by himself, and he created a Haryana Kishan Welfare Club. So he called nearly many of the farmers, that is in his neighbor farmers, he called and he told them, why are you just going for the chemicals? Why don't you just use for this? And nearly 5,000 farmers, now they have become members of this, and all the farmers are using only the organic farming. So this is a very good case study. Through that, we can just encourage and we can just put a plus for this Ramesh Chandra Tagore, is it? And next comes so now we understood what is the meaning of the organic farming. And next comes the radioactive waste. So initially we were just thinking that the nuclear waste, which is just produced by means of the nuclear waste, which we were using this nuclear in order to produce the electricity, and we thought that the nuclear waste is not polluting, it was very easy. But now after that, we just found the two serious problems we faced. After that, we found that the nuclear waste is a severe waste which used to produce lot of destructions. So the major one is the accidental leakage, which has occurred in the 3 Mile Island. See, in Chernobyl, when you see, recently it has been observed in the Fukushima in Japan. So accidentally that leakage has happened, and it brought a lot of distractions. Okay, children, I was telling about the radioactive waste. So first, number one, we have just seen the accidental leakages were just taking place. Next comes the safe disposal should be there in the nuclear waste. See, before just burying that nuclear waste, what we have to do is we have to do the pre-treatment. Before burial, we have to just do the sufficient pre-treatment should be done, and at the same time you have to seal. See, for example, when you are just keeping the nuclear waste in the big barrels or anything, see, you have to seal up that barrel, that is that disposal waste containers should be sealed up in the proper way. So safe disposal in the radioactive waste, you should sufficient pre-treatment should be there, and proper shielding should be there in the container. What you can do is, see, people used to just bury these containers inside the rocks. So under the depth of 500 meters below the earth's surface, you have to bury. So it means you have to make a deep pit, nearly 500 meters depth pit you have to, and then you are just keeping this by means of just shielding the containers should be sealed up in the proper way. Okay, and next comes the radiations. So why do people feel scared of this? Because if you are just going and telling the people that see, this is not a residential area, so we want to just bury this radio waste inside that, people never accept. They used to say that don't bury in our area, because the reason is, see, the radiations which are just emitted by means of this nuclear waste, they damage the organisms. So they damage the organism not only in the external level, even till the genetic level they used to undertake this damage. See, for example, they undertake the lot of mutations. That too, the mutations in the very high rate, which leads to various disorders in the genetical characters. So that is, in the genes, they used to show a lot of variations, and various genetical disorders it used to happen due to that. And main very common thing what they just form is the cancer. Okay, so it leads to heavy damage in the organisms, they leads to very high rate of mutation, and then leads to various disorders, and major common one is actually the cancer. And next we can go for the greenhouse effect and the global warming. Greenhouse effect, what is actually a greenhouse? See, for example, you might have just seen, see here, this is actually the greenhouse people used to have. They used to plant the plants inside that, and it is actually a glass, and the glass is actually mostly they used to just use the green color, and here the plants are just grown even during the winter also this. Now this, so we can just ask, see, they are just planting the plants inside the glass house. Why are you bothering about it? It's not like that, children. See here, the sun's light, it used to penetrate through this, okay, but at the same time the glasses, it will not emit the, so when have you ever just visited a greenhouse plant and all? Greenhouse, when you just go into the glass greenhouse, you'll feel that severe heat will be there, because the sunlight, it used to penetrate through the roof, the glass roof, but after just producing, the heat is not emitted outside. Now what is actually happening? Now this penetration of this the temperatures and all, this temperature, as it is not allowed to escape, they used to just present in the local environment itself. Now what it used to do is, just imagine about, for example, you are keeping your car outside for, that is in the sun for a long time. Okay, so 4 hours, 5 hours in the very hot sun you kept the car. So just imagine, so you are entering into the car. Do you feel very cold inside the car because the car was completely closed up? It's not like that. So it is penetrated into the panels, that is inside through the glass and the metal, but now it is not able to come out. Okay, similar is the condition in the glass house also. So here high, that is the light, it used to penetrate the panel, but it is not allowing the heat to escape. So inside that, so now what is actually happening? So slowly in that particular area, that is in this particular area, you can see that the emission of the heat will be there. That is, it's not allowing the temperature to go out. So in this particular area, you can just see the Earth's surface is getting heated, and the atmosphere in that particular area is just getting heated. When you just see, in the absence of, that is average temperature per day in the Earth's surface is 15 degrees Celsius when you are taking. In the absence of the greenhouse gases, that is carbon dioxide and methane, what they are telling is, if there is absence of the greenhouses, then the temperature might be minus 18 degrees Celsius low. That is, when comparing with the present temperature, if there is no greenhouse gases and greenhouse effect, the temperature might be, that is, what is the temperature what we are having? Minus 18 degrees Celsius. So that much of 18 degrees Celsius temperature difference is just being there by means of this greenhouse gases. So now, in the absence of that, the atmospheric temperature might be minus 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, in the presence and absence of the greenhouse. Now I have just given the release of contribution of the various greenhouse gases and the total global volume I have just given. See here, when you just see, that is, most of that is occupied by means of the carbon dioxide. So 60% is actually occupied by means of the carbon dioxide, and 20% by means of the methane, and 14% CFC, that is chlorofluorocarbons, and next 6% is the nitrogen gases. Okay, so now we can see what is the contribution of the different types of greenhouse gases which leads to the total global warming. So now, how this greenhouse is just heating when you just see. See, this is actually the earth, okay? So when the sunlight comes over, when the solar radiation falls on the earth, see the earth, it used to reflect that. The radiation is just getting reflected out. But now what is actually happening? Some of them is just reflected back, but part of it. But when the gases are present, when this greenhouse gases are present, part of that is just absorbed by the gases. So now what is that? The repulsion of that heat is not there. Rather, the absorption of the heat is there by means of all this greenhouse gases. So automatically, the earth is just getting warmer and warmer by means of this greenhouse gases. Now, do you understand how the greenhouse gases are just playing a role in global warming? See, I told you the earth is just like this. Now when the sun, from the sun, when the light comes over the earth's surface, the earth has the capacity to reflect that back. But now these gases, what they are doing, they are just absorbing. Instead of just reflecting back, they are not allowing the heat to go back. Rather, they are just consuming that and they are just retaining that heat. So that is the reason why the globe is just getting warmer and warmer. Okay. So now the carbon dioxide and methane, etc., they heat the earth's surface again and again. So as the heat is just getting retained here, again and again, now this carbon dioxide and methane is just repeatedly, now it is not a single day process. Now repeatedly it is just making the heat to get rotated in the particular place itself. So automatically what is actually happening? So the heat is just getting rotated and retention, and due to the retention it is just going on in the same area itself. Okay, by means of this repeated work, the heat is getting increased in the earth. Okay, so what are all the effects of the greenhouse gases when we see? See, the increased carbon dioxide as methane, they contribute to the global warming. Just now I told you, they are not allowing the heat to go out, rather they are retaining the heat. So by means of it, they are playing a major role in global warming. And next, see, and then a part is actually from the part of the next gases. What is the next part? CFC and N2O. They are also doing the same work. And next comes the, see, within the past 3 decades itself, when they just calculated the temperature, within past 3 decades, the Earth's temperature has increased by 0.6 degrees Celsius has been increased in the Earth's surface. And next, the deleterious changes which is taking place in the environment is actually due to the odd climatic conditions. So now you might have seen previously, before 50 years or 100 years, the temperature was not like this. These changes were not in the environment, but all these changes are only by means of this global warming, that is by the that is the greenhouse gases. So this effect is actually called as the Nino effects, they used to call. So what is Nino effects? The deleterious changes which has occurred in the environment result in the odd climatic condition. So odd climatic condition is actually called as the Nino effects. And next is the increased melting of the polar ice caps. The polar ice caps, so a lot of glaciers are getting melted nowadays. So the Himalayan snow caps, so all this melting is only by means of the greenhouse effect. And next is, see, once when when all this ice, when the ice is just getting, see all this ice when it is getting melted, what will happen? They all will melt and now the water will just come here. So all this water, where it will go? It will go to the sea or the ocean. Now what is actually there? See, the land is here. Now this is actually the land area. Now what is there? When the water level increases, the sea is now here and the land is here. Here we are just having the land. Now as the sea is here, it is not coming here. But now when all this ice, when it gets melted, what will happen? the sea will increase in their level. Now once when the sea increases, what will happen? All the coastal area, that is for example we, the Pondicherrians, we and all the coastal area will get submerged inside the sea. There are chances for the, once when the polar ices and the ice caps, when they are getting melted, what will happen? They will melt and the water will come and just join in the sea. Now we can see that the sea is now like this and the land level is like that. Now once when the water is just increasing from the level of the sea, when the sea level comes like that, the water will it just stand on the higher state itself? No. All the coastal areas will be completely submerged by means of that. That is the thing what it is going to happen. So rise in sea level water and possibilities of submerging of the coastal levels. There is a expected thing what the people see when we are going on just heating the globe in this way. That is the thing what you are going to face. That is the consequence what we are going to face. And most extreme weather conditions, for nowadays we are unable to predict. Okay, this and this might be the climatic things we are unable to predict. So lot of department we are having, meteorology department, all the departments are there. Sometimes even apart from our predictions, some things are happening, that is by means of the extreme weather conditions and shifting of the climatic zones. So these are all the consequences or the effects what we are just going to have by means of the greenhouse gas, greenhouse effects and control measures of the global warming. Okay, how to do the, see when people are going on telling that the globe is getting warm and all, how to control it? We are having some of the control measures also. Number one, cut down the usage of the fossil fuels, petroleum, diesel and many things. See, day by day the vehicles are just getting multiplied and we are increasing that level. But what they are telling, in order to control the global warming, you have to cut down the usage of the fossil fuel. And next comes the improve the efficient energy usage. Don't waste the energy unnecessarily. For example, when you are just coming to one room, you just switch off the fan in the other room and come. When you are just going for one of the place, see, don't just open the water and then make the water to get flow. Don't think that somebody will come and just close the water tap, not in that way. So whatever the energy what we are doing, what we are having, the nature has provided a good amount of sources. So we have to utilize everything in the proper way. Next is we reduce the deforestation. What is deforestation? Cutting of the trees and just completely devastating the forest. So you please put a full stop, because we have seen that the forests are the lungs of this earth. So they, without that, you just recollect all the ecosystem services what they have done for us. So we have to cut down the deforestation, and instead of that we have to plant more trees. Don't think that I will just cut this tree and construct a small room so I can just get the rent of 4,000 and 5,000. Don't think in that way. We have to improve the ecosystem. So now you have to plant more trees and slow down the human population. So we have studied already in the human reproduction we have studied. So how far the population has to be controlled, we know that. We have seen how much, how far, that is how drastically the human population is increasing. So in order to fulfill all the needs, it is a must that we have to exploit from the nature. So we have to we have to slow down the human population. Okay, and next comes the Kyoto Protocol. So what is the meaning of Kyoto Protocol? It is actually an association which has been made in order to minimize, so all the countries, different countries, international level, all the countries, they just made an association. They told that we have to minimize the greenhouse gases emission, and they just signed it by 11/12/1997, but it became effective only by 16/2/2005. So an effective work was just done by that. That integrated association was actually called as the Kyoto Protocol. And the first commitment of the Kyoto Protocol, it expired by 2012, and the Kyoto Protocol extension has been just made. Now the extension is from 2012 to 2020 by the amendment called as the Doha. Very clear? So till here we are just finishing today's class. children, I am just making my level best, and in a very faithful way I am doing all these things for you. But many of you, you didn't even just visited the YouTube, you didn't even observe the classes, it seems. But whatever it may be, okay, it's my duty to finish off the work. Okay, so please be faithful in what the teacher is just giving. When you are reading the notes, you just read it, and after reading the notes, you please go for the videos. That would help you. It is not just for my own entertainment. I am not doing this work, children. I am taking this much of pain, but the same what is that the same yield is not received by me. Please do everything in a faithful way.